time when you think like speaking or networking. I'll put that up on the. I said I would put it up on the screen, but no, there we go. Okay. So how do we go this way? We should get it over with, right? Go ahead.
I'm Bailey McCall. I actually work for the city. I'm the city sustainability coordinator. I'm relatively new to the role, basically a year out of college. So I want to definitely try and work with like engaging people, getting myself out there, working on how to network properly and engage with residents. I live in Lynn, but work here, so it's a bit of a commute every day. I take the train in. So this was kind of a thought.
One word that comes to mind.
Nerve-wracking.
Linda Stout. I work for the city also. I'm the energy coach, mostly working with residents for the Mass Save program. And I've been in the energy industry decades. But anyway, it's the word that comes to mind is I've learned to be, because I'm working more with residents, is to be friendly.
Go ahead.
My name is Keith Harris. I own Choice Graphics and I live in Merrimack. I work in Raleigh. And Choice Graphics is a graphic design printing company that works with visual communications. The word that comes to mind for me with public speaking is opportunity.
I just wrote that down. That's what I was going to use.
Sorry, you gotta pick another one.
Okay. Every piece is necessary. Go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Mark LaCroix. My business is LaCroix and Associates, bookkeeping and taxes. My office is in Ipswich. I live in Ipswich. Been doing this business full time for roughly 5 years. I'm eager to get content from this series. I'll be participating in future presentations. And the one word that I would is seeking opportunity.
I'm Hector Martinez. I'm a universal banker at the Gloucester Crossing for Cape Ann Savings Bank. I work in Gloucester here in town, but I live out in Peavey, so it's a little bit of a commute. And one word I'd use to describe public speaking, maybe perseverance. Just keep trying it. If you're
I like that.
about it, and you'll just see improvement.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Can you raise your hands when you speak? Because I can just see everybody at the table, but they're so tiny.
Yes, absolutely.
I can't tell who's speaking.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't know if you can see me over here in the corner.
Yep.
Okay.
My name is Grace Brennan. I work at Cape Ann Savings Bank as well. I work in the trust department as a trust associate. So I live in Gloucester as well, which is a commute, which is nice. One word that comes to mind probably be confidence.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Robbie. I work alongside Keith at Choice. I'm a digital production specialist. I reside in Ipswich, but I work in Raleigh. And one word that I would choose, I'm going to be honest.
Yep, that's what we're here for.
Frightening.
Yes.
But,
that would have been my word.
but I don't, I'm working on moving away from that.
That's
word.
ironic. Yeah, correct.
My name is Nicole Josephson. I am a loan associate for Cape Ann Savings Bank. I'm new to that position. I live here in Gloucester also. And I find as I get older, speaking is easier, but I still, all of it, the fear, the nerve-wracking, that's.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Hey Terry.
I'm
Jessica Spinelli. My profession is I'm a branch manager
a lot of public
at and I live in Gloucester. I work in Manchester by the sea. And one word that comes to mind is exciting.
I love it. Love it.
I'm Jeff Northcott. I own Silver Bear Jewelry, where I make silver rings of all sorts, and I work at GE full time. I've been at General Electric for 17 years. And I actually, it's just funny that this class was today because Keith called me that asked to come, and I just had a big order with Village Silversmith. and they just sprang on me when I dropped off like 36 rings that, oh, we're gonna do a video. So it's like, it's so awful. So the one word I would say is embarrassed, because it's like, they just threw it on me. I had no idea it was coming, and I'm like, hi, I'm Jeff from Silver Bear, and they posted it on like Facebook to start selling the products. I'm like, oh my
So we
god.
mixed your phone heads up before that. I bet it's not as bad.
It was. Watch.
Hi, I'm Lindsay and I live in, I live here and I work in Manchester. I own Egan, oh gosh, I rebranded. I own Poppy Legal. And my word about public speaking, because I do it all the time, is draining, but I'd like it to be intentional.
That's good. That's a hard one.
Thanks.
I'm Jill Burgess. I'm in insurance. I focus on high net worth personal lines, and I live here. My office is in Danvers, but I really just work from home in Gloucester, so it's great. I'm just always here. Word that comes to mind, it depends on the setting, but when it's like good and you're ready for it, I'd say empowering. You like that? That was for Jess.
Colleen Murdoch, I'm the Director of Community Relations with the Greater Cape Ann Chamber of Commerce, if you can see us on the side over here. I live and work here in Gloucester. And when it comes to public speaking and stuff, I would say build up. I always think a lot about it beforehand, so.
Deletory anxiety. Or that's me, sorry.
Now that's me.
Hello, my name is Ellen Fusco. I own Moving and Shaking on the North Shore. I provide move management, downsizing, decluttering, soup to nuts, pretty much anyone who needs anything having to do with a move or anxiety around senior living, etc. I am here in Rockport. It was the top mall. I live in Rockport. And I guess one word that I would say, I go along with you with confidence, but I also say practice, because I need to practice more like I'm more.
I'm Becca Campbell, and I am Member Services Director here at the Chamber. I live in Rockport, but work here. I coordinate the networking events every month, so for me, it's connections and can be fun, making it different. So,
Thank you. And we have a couple people at home, Terry and Greg.
Okay, I'm Terry Shepherd. I am a Realtor for over 20 years. I service the North Shore. I live in Danvers and I work in Ipswich. Again, I service the North Shore. The one word, all my words were taken, opportunity, confidence, fun, obviously having knowledge, and exciting, I guess.
Okay, I guess it's my turn. So my name is Greg Sarkeesian. I have a small real estate management practice, which when I say small, I don't have employees. I'm just a sole practitioner. I currently manage a commercial building in Fairfax, Virginia. I manage it with a team of people. The property owner is in distress, and part of what I bring to the table is trying to help distressed property owner navigate their way through the issues that they're facing in order to hold on to their property and make it a productive place for the occupants of the property, as well as for the owners. One word that comes to mind about how I feel about public speaking and networking is that it's very easy for me to start rambling on off into the sunset. So I try and keep it short and respond to any questions that may come to mind based on what I have already kind of presented about myself. So.
Thanks, Greg. Did I miss anyone else at home? Okay, and you just joined us. Thank you. Do you mind doing a quick intro, sharing your name?
Marshall. Yes. Twin Chief Coordinator in the Postery and Greg Marshall, artist cover.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, I can resonate with all of these words that you guys use. I think it goes in line with my love-hate relationship with public speaking. I want to just go over first just sort of how I want to approach our time together. today, the purpose and a little bit of a disclosure. I really hope that this is an opportunity for us to share information, be collaborative. I don't see myself as an expert on networking and public speaking. We're going to talk about the myth of the expert in a minute. But for me, it's about if you know something or something's worked for you that might help somebody else, shouldn't we share that information? And so that's how I look at sort of when we get up and speak about things that we might know about. These are the things that I'm going to share that have worked for me. I would love to know as we go along what's worked for you, and hopefully sort of approach it from that perspective. I want to share a little bit about how this got started. And I shared this quote for you with you guys because I think it kind of summarizes, how we feel about public speaking in general. Sometimes we're like, should I raise my hand? Should I not raise my hand? Should I say something? Should I not say something? And the reality is we usually still feel fearful or worried even if we don't. So sometimes it's just better to speak. And I think that's how I kind of approach a lot of my decisions around, what are the right opportunities for me. I think you probably already can imagine public speaking is one of the most common fears that people have next to death and dying. And for me, I was pretty sure they went hand in hand. That if you got on stage and your heart started racing, that you were going to just die and have a heart attack, and how embarrassing would that be? Which is so sad that you're more worried about actually having that and how that might inconvenience your audience. So that just goes to how crazy our minds can get when we think about it. And I think if I think about when it started impacting my life, it was really back in college. I was a political science psychology double major, but I really wanted to take some courses in journalism. And every time I went to, you had to go to the registrar's office to look at the book of classes, decide what you wanted to take. This was way pre-internet, so it was this big binder. You had to flip through the courses, and at the end of each class that I was really interested in taking, it would say public speaking requirement or presentation. And I was like, no, I think I'm all set. Thank you, Mom. I'm all set. Do it. And I think that began for me just a pattern of avoiding it because it just made me feel nervous and uncomfortable. I ended up going to law school. I'm a lawyer by training and education, did law and HR for many years. And so I obviously did have to do some public speaking. I did a lot of trainings and I managed to do it, but not without a lot of angst, a lot of sleepless nights. And I even went so far as to have a panic attack, as I was talking. And once that starts to happen, you not only fear public speaking, but you fear that happening to you. And I really saw it weighing on me and really, I think, lost out on a lot of opportunities, turned down opportunities within my jobs because I knew I was going to have to do that. And it was pretty sad. I could speak comfortably in a small group. I often had to facilitate meetings, but tell me that I needed to go on stage and do a presentation or even stand at the front of a conference center or room, it just created so much anxiety for me that I avoided it. And then in 2016, a couple things happened. I decided to leave my corporate HR role and go out on my own and start my own HR consulting company. And I knew that in order to be successful, I was going to have to take on my public speaking fear. Because in part, if anyone here owns a business, you have to get out there. You have to talk about your business. You have to talk about yourself. I also see it as an essential leadership skill. If you think about anybody who's a really effective leader, you see that they can do it in such an artful way, and I really admired it. I also got this around the same time, got this text from my daughter. I'll give you a second to read it. She was in 2016 a freshman in high school. And she clearly was very nervous. This was texting from school about a presentation. And I didn't know she had it. So I just started getting these texts in the middle of the day. But I knew exactly how she felt. And my heart just broke for her. Those sweaty palms, the hard to swallow, the racing heart. I felt so bad for her in that moment. And anyone with teenagers knows you can't tell them what to do. I think I tried pretty well. Yeah. What to do, but you can't tell someone what to do as a teenager. You have to lead by example and hope that someday they will see what you've done and maybe follow suit. So that is when, for me, those two things were going on, and I thought I really have to take this on. And I went out and I said, where can I get some support for this? I did some research online. I'm sure many of you know about Toastmasters. There's that's a public speaking group. Visited a couple of those and it was nice. I though then found something called the Speaker Sisterhood. And it was a woman who started public speaking clubs for women all over the state. And so I reached out to her and I had a great conversation and I said, well, that's great. I would love to do this. She shared a lot about their curriculum and how they get people up and talking. And she said, well, we don't really have it in your area, but you could start one. I was like, that's ridiculous. Like, I cannot lead a public speaking group. I'm terrified. And, she's like, well, the thing is, it's going to give you the opportunity to get up on a regular basis, which is key. And in front of a small group, which, I was used to doing it sort of in my work life. And it will also give you, so in addition to getting up and speaking on a regular basis, the curriculum has content where you learn a lot about what to put in your presentation and how to do it, and you practice with each other and you give each other feedback. And she said, I think it would be a good experience for you. And I said, well, I appreciate that confidence, but no, thank you, I'm all set. And I said, no thanks. And went about my day. And then, as I thought about it, I thought, this is going to be another one of those things that I'm like, didn't do because I was just like too nervous or scared. And I'm also a super competitive person. And I was like, someone else, at the time I lived in Needham, I live in Essex now, but at the time I lived in Needham and I was like, someone else is going to come start a club in Needham and I'm going to wish I had done it. So I was like, okay. So I called her up and I said, all right, let's do it. And I did. And I did it for 2 years. I met some of the most amazing women. The curriculum was amazing. I really, again, learned about how to put together a talk, a presentation in a way that felt comfortable for me. Public speaking and networking may not seem like the same thing to some people, but there's a lot of overlap, and a lot of people do go through the same angst. Maybe you're not. Some people are comfortable one-on-one. Some people aren't. They feel a lot of tension and pressure, and so everyone's different. But I think there is a lot of overlap between sort of the public speaking and getting out there and networking. I'll share with you some of the things that I did in terms of dealing with my fear and anxiety. The first thing about fear, I think that we really need to remind ourselves about is people with no fear are mentally ill, okay? This whole fearless thing, I don't subscribe to it. I sometimes see these things like, come join the fearless, blah, blah, blah. Or I don't subscribe to that. That's just not realistic. It's not practical. It sets us up for failure. We're not trying to be fearless. Some fear is good, right? Like it keeps us moving forward. It keeps us engaged. And so the key for me was to identify, what's something that feels scary, but I want to do. Or maybe there are things that, feel scary and I have no desire to do them ever. That's okay. That's like a no pile. That's like a no pile. But I think we can, if we're honest with ourselves, understand that there's a lot of things that we really want to do, but that we are afraid. And so we say no. So for me, in dealing with that in public speaking and in some networking situations, I really have to change the story in my mind. For me, I had a lot of that racing heart. As I said, I have a panic attack on stage, and there's nothing that feels worse, like nothing. I used to see that racing heart as like an impending sign of like death or doom, right? Like I was just gonna die. Now, if you don't have a racing heart, what are you? Dead. Correct. If your heart is not beating, you're dead. Okay. So I now see my racing heart, my heart beating. It's a sign of life. It's a sign of being brave. It's a sign of getting out there. And so I really learned to kind of embrace that as being 100% normal and a good sign, not a bad sign. I think I've also learned to change what I think and say about myself as a public speaker. It's again the myth of the expert. Like, who am I to get up here and talk about that? And I think, as I said, for me, it's more about, hey, if I have some information that's worked for me that might help you, shouldn't I get up there and share it? And so I think we have to let go of this, like, who am I to get up there and do that? The other thing I think that we all, we think a lot about, well, there's already 10 people talking about networking or public speaking. And so what? I mean, we all have our own story. We all bring a unique perspective. So my story is going to be different than your story. That's going to be different than your story. You could do this talk next week and it would be very, very different because it's your story. It's what's worked for you. And so I think letting go of that, well, it's been done. I don't think that's right. That's why we can have 3 realtors in one, everyone's different. And so we all bring our unique perspectives. And I think changing that for me was huge. Also the breathing meditation, I'm not like a huge, I don't know what to call it, but I wouldn't call myself a necessarily a holistic person, but I really have valued understanding the ability of using breathing and meditation to calm your nervous system, because that's what would happen to me. That's what a panic attack is. It's your nervous system being all out of whack. So by using some breathing techniques, and there's a lot of different ones out there, for me, it's kind of that, you breathe in for 4, hold, and out for 4 really works for me. Any longer than that, I feel like I'm going to hyperventilate. So the 4 has really worked for me. And I notice it immediately calming my body. And same with the meditation. I don't do it every day, but I know that if I have something difficult coming up, even sometimes a difficult conversation that you're feeling just really nervous about, it can be helpful to just kind of center yourself and center your body. And for me, that was half the battle, to know that I could control what my body was going to do in those stressful, anxiety-provoking situations gave me a lot more confidence to get up and do it, because I knew I could slow it down. I knew I could control it. And that was really half the battle for me. So now, I still get nervous and anxious, but I just use my tools to kind of bring it back down to a level that I feel comfortable and confident with. Is anyone familiar with the Amy Cuddy power poses?
What?
Amy Cuddy has these power poses, and they're things like this. Like if you Google Amy Cuddy power poses, you'll get a whole spiel about it. But she basically encourages to stand like, Superman or Superwoman, or I don't know what she calls this, but in yoga it's like star pose, I think. But if you stand in these poses for a certain amount of time, your body chemistry changes, and it literally brings you confidence. And I will sometimes use that as a way to just kind of psych myself up a little bit, and it works. So it's creating I have a little routine before I do even things like this. I have a little routine that I do for myself, and it really just helps me get in the right headspace. And it's really worked for me. Practice. Who said practice? Yeah, I can't stress that enough. And also, so newsflash, we're not striving to be perfect. We are never going to be perfect. I will be here wishing I had done something differently or forgot to say something. That's okay. We are simply striving for perfection. Let's take the pressure off ourselves, but practice is essential. I see public speaking, even networking to some degree, as like exercise. If you don't do it on a regular basis, it gets harder to do. So it's doing it at regular times, so that when you get back into it, it doesn't feel so hard and you're not starting from scratch all over again. I also practice, I tend to practice anytime I have to do like a speaking thing on the treadmill, because it's 2 birds with 1 stone, right? The 20 minutes goes by like that when you're practicing. And also for me, it mimics that racing heart a little bit. So I feel like I get used to speaking when my heart's beating a little bit faster than normal, and that's been really helpful for me. I just think taking the opportunity to say words out loud is truly different than saying it in your head. And so doing that can bring a lot more confidence in what you're saying and feeling good about it. I often say that, finding a group to do it in, maybe it's a group of friends, a family to sort of practice on, but I'll be honest, I sometimes find it harder to talk in front of friends and family, especially when it's like something it's personal or work related and they don't know anything about your work. Like, I don't know, I think sometimes people who know you really well, it can be harder to talk in front of them. So you have to find a place that works for you. My dog Rosie is my best audience member. Up there, and she listens, doesn't interrupt me. And also recording yourself. I know that can feel painful, but it is a great way to see what worked and what didn't. And so just doing those things to get comfortable is huge. I think a lot of the reasons why I went wrong early in my public speaking life is because I was so nervous about it. I didn't practice at all. I maybe put the presentation together, but I wouldn't practice it. So then I would get up there and it's like, of course I bombed because that feels like really shitty. Excuse my language, but it does. I think also, we'll talk about this in a second, but if you're not talking about something that you care about, something that you love, it's really hard to connect with the audience. A lot of times in my professional life, I was asked to speak on things that I didn't know anything about or I didn't care about. And the audience can sense that. And it's very hard to engage. So it's finding ways to speak about things that you care about that I think make a big difference. And so when you practice, you look for ways to sort of integrate that, and I think it helps. Networking. So thinking about how I've used a lot of what I did in my public speaking journey, and still on it, by the way, but what I've taken is sort of I've used a lot of that in my networking. And for me, it's been crucial to set boundaries. I am not a night person. If you had asked me to do following, if you had said Monday we're doing 7 o'clock at night, I probably would have been like, I don't think I can do it. Like I just know myself. And I am a morning person. I've been up since 5 o'clock. 7 at night, I am done. And it's already something that I know I need to kind of keep my energy up for, that waiting all day, that anticipatory anxiety. It would be super hard for me. And I don't think I'd be as good at it or enjoy it. I wouldn't enjoy it. So I set my boundaries about what works for me. Somebody would never do it. It's just that it has to be the right opportunity. And I would definitely look for ways to make it work for me. Networking events. Sometimes networking events are super hard to go to. I love one-on-one coffees. I love small groups, but walking into a big networking event where you don't know anyone else who's going can be scary and daunting. And so sometimes for me, it's about setting, how long you going maybe I go for an hour. It's, it's a night event, but it's going to be really good for my business and my networking. I really should go. So I tell myself I'm going to go for an hour and I'm going to make 2 connections. And if after an hour I've made 2 connections and I still don't want to be, I let myself leave. But I went, right? And I did it and I made some connections and I made it worth my time. And if I am having fun, and by the way, usually I am, I stay. So I usually, once I get my foot in the door, it's a good experience. But I realized I have to really set some boundaries to make it work for me. And also goals. How often do you think that you, for your business goals, need to do these network events? Is it once a week? Is it twice a week? For me, I'm also like an introvert. Like that's why at the end of the day, a big event, it's hard for me. I love connecting with people, but I only have so much energy for it in a day. So for me, I try to do 1 event a week and then at least one one-on-one a week. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. It's almost never in the same day unless I totally can't avoid it. But it's creating goals that I feel like I can stick with. And that's also the key. Like, how do you stick with it? How do you hold yourself accountable? I put them in my calendar, especially like at the chamber, like newsletters, I go through it and I'm like, what works for my schedule? What works for me? I'll put them on my calendar. You probably get to 3/4 of them. Sometimes I bail, I'm sorry, but I try to get to as many of them as I can. And maybe you need an accountability partner, like, so you go with a friend. We did that. You signed me up for something. I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to an event. I didn't sign up for it, but I am now going. But you know what? I don't know if I would have got myself there without it. So it works, like having an accountability partner. Sometimes it's also just telling my husband I have an event like Wednesday night, because then he'll come home and he'll be like, don't you have an event? And I don't want to be like, oh, I bailed on the event. Like, so like just telling somebody you have to go to an event can sometimes like motivate you to actually go. Okay. And then so making networking effective for you. This is stuff you guys all, know, and I'm just kind of reiterating what I think, for me, I just try to remind myself of, but like, for me, it's focusing on relationships, not results. I think for me, real estate, if you told me real estate was about sales, I would have never done it. For me, it is about relationships. It's about working with people through difficult situations. And I really thrive on that. It's about being curious, talking to people, asking questions, finding common ground, really just making it organic. And it doesn't have to be about what you do. Sometimes it's just about life and you just find a way to make a connection with somebody. whatever connection kind of means to you. Again, it's also finding something that you enjoy talking about. And I think that makes these events a lot more enjoyable. I also think these, look, not necessarily look for opportunities, but take opportunities to help people with no strings attached. I think at that event at CK Pearl, I was talking to a woman, we were talking about real estate, and she was saying how a colleague was having a really hard time finding a rental in Cape Ann. And I said, well, I don't actually do rentals, but I obviously have a lot of resources. I'd be happy to share them with you. And she said, great. So the next day I followed up, I sent her an email, I gave her a bunch of resources, and she really appreciated it. And it felt good. I helped them out. I see myself as a problem solver. So we made a connection. Whether any work will come of it, I don't know, but I think she appreciated it. I enjoyed helping them, and it was kind of a win-win. So just taking those opportunities, I think, is huge and goes a long way. Business cards. It's nice to have them. We all like to spend the time making them look super nice and pretty, but in my opinion, it is way more important to get them than to give them. If you get a card, you can follow up, and you need to follow up. It becomes part of your, it can become part of your database, part of your network, part of your sphere of influence. So I would focus definitely on getting cards as opposed to giving them, and creating a system for yourself if you don't already have that. I take them and I immediately put them into sort of my, online kind of catalog, and then you do, I'm sorry, but you toss them. So, but I think getting the cards is way more important than giving them. And I didn't really think about that until, really I started getting out there more regularly in real estate and realizing that it was a lot more valuable to me to get them, because I could follow up if I gave them out. Be honest, how often do you get a call from somebody you gave a card to? I would love feedback from you guys. What has worked for you in this way? Any sort of earth shattering or just tips that you have found to be very helpful?
I'll share one story.
Yeah.
Somewhat unrelated, but kind of along the same
Yeah.
lines. So I'm trying to be a better golfer.
Nice.
He's a very good golfer, and we were supposed to play this week. And he had to bail because he had work calls. And so I was like, oh my God, what? So like, and it was a bad day too, because I had a meeting at, I'm not gonna say which one, in assisted living, and the lady totally blew me off. I sat there waiting for a half hour. And I was like and I was nervous about the introduction and sitting down with her and whoever else on her team. So that didn't work. So then I said, oh, I guess I'll just go straight to meeting my husband, who now can't make it. And I was gonna, like, 5 different times turn around and leave. I was like, no, you're gonna do this. They're gonna team you up with some, 2 guys who are really good at golf, and you're gonna look like an asshole.
Yeah.
But I went, I did it.
Good for you.
The level of discomfort that I felt, that's
Yeah.
kind of what I try to put myself in uncomfortable situations.
Yeah, well, good for you. And I think that's also a good reminder to, like, when I go back to find what works for you, if golf is your passion, go network on the golf course. Like, find ways to integrate what you love doing with making it work for your business, whatever it is. There are people who do that very skillfully. So that's great and good for you. Yeah.
So I think I use this thing called the stretch zone. So in my day-to-day, if I am in a comfort zone, I'm not reaching out, I'm not networking, because I'm like, oh, I can get things done here. If I'm in the stretch zone, I'm making myself feel a little bit uncomfortable, but I'm like pushing myself to get into that zone where I'm growing. And then, just be mindful that if you get into the panic zone, which is like you do too many meetings in a week, all of a sudden you're like, I don't like this, and you like revert back. So like find your stretch zone, because when I find mine, I feel like I'm able to grow, but do it confidently and network.
That's huge. That was awesome.
The best thing I heard was actually your advice on record yourself.
Yeah.
Because oh my God, if I record myself, I didn't know it was coming, I would almost rather not make the sale.
Yeah, definitely. If you're gonna put yourself out there. Yeah. I mean, for many people in a business, like, you are your business, right? So you want to feel good about it.
Brad, it's like a generic thing of what you're gonna say.
Well, here we go. I'm so glad you said that. You're reading my mind, because you gotta be ready for the what do you do, right? And we all basically know what this includes. It's who you are, who you help, the problem you solve or value you bring. And then I like to include a hook of sorts and also end with a question. And I'm sure a lot of you already have a version of this. If you don't, you should have something. I always suggest people start with ChatGPT. Even if you have something, it's a good tool to use to plug in to get, you have to be specific, create a 30-second introductory pitch for a real estate agent who does blah, 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 blah in this area. And, whatever it is, be specific, but see who enjoys doing blank and see what it comes up with. You're never gonna cut and paste that and use it as it gives you, but it's a great place to kind of start giving you some framework to use that you can then make it your own, which you definitely should do. And even if you do have one, maybe plug it in there and say, hey, can you freshen this up for me? Hey, GPT, can you freshen this up for me? Make it more funny, make it more casual, make it more whatever you want it to be. It's an amazing tool. I recently did that for myself, and here's what I came up with. And I'm going to have to read it apart because I haven't totally mastered it yet because I haven't practiced it as much as I would like. But mine is, I'm Wendy Silver. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams. My team and I are unique in that we focus on strategy and data to help people in this competitive market buy or sell homes that is in a way that feels less stressful to them. It's about making smart moves without feeling overwhelmed. I'm also a huge foodie, so my clients and I are always stopping at new cafes along the way to give them a try. Where do you live and work? So and 9 times out of 10, we're talking about food the rest of the time. We're talking about restaurants, and that's okay. I love that. I get to find out what's in their community. They can find out what's in my community. We share, it's fun. We have a good conversation. So that's how I approach it. However feels comfortable for you. You just want to feel ready and comfortable and confident to kind of answer that. What do you do in a way that, listen, there's a lot of realtors out there and a lot of people have a lot of choices. And so for me, I just want to be upfront about who I am and what I do. And so that's what I'm trying to put together in my little pitch. So with that, it is your turn. I would love for us to take,
Jeez.
you signed up for this. So let's take 5 minutes or so. And if you already have something you're working with, review it, revise it. If you don't, just take a crack at putting something on paper. And add something in it that lights you up.
That what?
Lights you up. Need paper? Does anyone need paper?
Mhm.
I do. Okay. Here, I can give people about. Not fancy paper.
Just look at ChatGPT. ChatGPT, yeah, it really does the work. Like you type in, and you can share like a picture, and it'll help make an ad too. So ChatGPT is definitely pretty good.
Anyone down there want paper? You guys okay?
No, use my phone.
Okay, yeah, that's good too.
So anything about anything?
Well, I want you to, if someone said you're networking about what you do, I want you to answer that, but I want you to try to think about something, incorporating something in that speaks to something that about you or that you love or that lights you up, because I think that's just a great way to connect. Okay.
Anyone need paper or pen?
Sorry, I decided to use my phone.
Okay, that works. Oops, I'm sorry. Okay. There you go.
I think I wrote too much.
I'll share a story about that in a minute, actually.
Maybe it goes by faster when you talk, so.
I'll share it now as people are sort of finishing up. But when I sometimes do I do a workshop on just public speaking, and we talk in part about content and how to put it together. And one of the examples I use is what we call the overstuffed burrito. If you make a burrito and you put in the rice and the beans and the guacamole and the carnitas and the salsa and the lettuce and the cheese and try to wrap it all falls out. You got nothing. So that sometimes happens with public speaking, right? Like you try to put so much in that the audience or the listener can't absorb it. It's too much. And so you have to be very selective about what's important for them to know. Not necessarily what you want to say, but what is important for them to know. All right, give you another minute.
I wish that this class was 3 days ago. Like reading this, it would sound so much better if I just read this, you know?
Well, they were not fair to you. They didn't tell you.
Well, she's like, oh, I can edit it and really know it. And I watched it, I'm like,
Call them back up and say, can I go
well,
do that again?
I actually plan on doing that. I'm like, I know, I want to record this and send it to them.
Yeah.
Because they want a video of me actually making the ring. So they want to, you know, so they'll show that of me making like the full ring.
Yeah,
And
you
that'll
should
be
definitely do that.
But yeah. We're making a video today, is that right? We go, what? Yeah, I guess, I don't know.
No, that's not fair.
At least I got my name right. I'm like, I'm Jeff Warren. Oh, yeah.
All right. So I know this is gonna break you all you up, but probably aren't gonna get to everybody. But I would love for some volunteers to share your pitches.
I just drafted this. It's super helpful. Yeah. I'm Lindsay Egan. I'm a family law and estate planning attorney. Basically, I help people uncouple gracefully and plan their futures before their new relationship ends up on Coldplay's Jumbotron.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a lawyer now, I actually went to school on a piano performance scholarship. How did you end up in your career?
That's a great, I love it.
That's a real good one.
That was good.
That was really great.
That was very good. I love that.
That was fun.
Yeah, of course. And again, it's also going to be a work in progress. Like you might use this a couple times to see how it goes. You might sometimes what we write and then what we go and say doesn't feel organic enough. So you have to practice and part why we practice, but you might, you might change it over time. But it's awesome. I love it. All right, who's next?
I'll go.
Okay.
Get it over with. So I was always like starting to answer with a question as like, mirroring. So if somebody asked me, what do I do? I would say, what do I do? Well, I am a big factor in everyone's life, selling and finding a dream home. I fully understand the stress and complexities of a home sale or purchase. So I'm able to be very compassionate to all my clients. And then I crossed out some stuff because I thought it was too long. I'm an avid skier and outdoor person and have a dream to live in Lake Tahoe. Do you ski or boat? I mean, I could probably add to it, but I felt
too. Because again, this is like you're meeting people. It's like, what do you do? No one wants a whole story. They just want to know who you are, what you do.
Yeah, it's probably still too long. Okay.
Okay. There aren't more opportunities in a conversation to share more. And of course there are. But this is just, how do you, they say you never get a second chance to make a good first impression. Like, how do you want to answer this for yourself? So it's just, helpful to, and you want to feel comfortable and confident about it. I think that's half of the networking events is feeling comfortable. What is going to do? You know what, read it to us and we'll tell you. And it's just saying.
Really talk apart everything.
Well, no, you know, give me a second, and I should say, I didn't say this up front, but I always like when we're giving feedback, I like to start with something that somebody did really well, we really like. It's always really good to give somebody feedback up for suggestions for improvement, right? We all have room for improvement, so we could definitely share that for each person. So yes, just give it to us.
I'm Tanya Marshall. My husband and I are self-employed, and we provide our clients with unique service that makes your house a home. I offer a high-quality, shabby chic furniture and of any design, shape, color, and style by designing, painting, and upholstering timeless antiques. I even offer feng shui consultation. Greg builds reclaimed wood furniture and also does homeowner projects of any level. What is your next project?
I think that's really good. I think you could cut it down a little bit just because I think it'd be hard to like kind of remove. Sometimes you get so stuck on the words that, you know, we have to break it down into a little bit more conceptual, but maybe put that in chat, take that whole thing, put it in chat GPT and say, make this shorter for me. Make it shorter and more casual and see what it comes up with.
Okay.
I like how you ended it with, what's your project?
Yeah, I like that too.
That never get a second chance for a first impression.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, right. That's all right.
The other thing you could say is what projects have you done in your home recently? Because somebody, you know, they might not have any, you know, so it's good to have choices about what your question is. That's great. Thank you. Yeah. All right, we still have some time.
All right, I'll go.
Oh, good.
I'll go, I guess. All right, hello, I'm Jeff Northcott, owner of Silver Bear Jewelry, where we create handcrafted coin rings. Each piece is individually forged using authentic coins, a fusion of timeless elegance and modern craftsmanship. Turn history into heirloom and enjoy a ring that will last you a lifetime.
That would be interesting too, yeah. What question do you normally get from people after you tell them what you do?
Well, I just started, so like, how do you do it? Like, how do you get that on the ring and how do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Like, how do you get the detail on there? You know what I mean? I'm like, it's already on there.
I have a question to the gentleman who makes the jewelry.
Yeah.
Do I understand you actually stamp coins? Do you have a?
No, I use American silver coins, like the Silver Eagle, the Morgan,
okay.
like the actual famous coins, or any type of coin, but typically 999 silver.
Okay.
I started it because I was investing in silver, and then I saw a thing on YouTube that's like, you should create your own business or you'll be poor forever. And I'm like, all right, I'll try that. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I thought you were crafting your own dies and stamping out the coin of your grandma.
I think you could
Profile.
that YouTube. Yeah. Ensure. I would love for you to include something about what you love about this or how you ended up doing it because it's so unique. So think about that. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, to more about that guy's question, it's like it would be nice because you can make your own individual coins and stamp them.
Yeah,
like,
I actually
make like my own coin. I looked into it, but it's expensive. So
yeah, it's interesting. The reason it came to mind, I was at a place last week about 8 time zones from here, a 1,500-year-old monastery, and there was a guy out front who let you make your own coin for $1.
Wow.
He had like the hardened steel dies, and you put a blank in there, and then you bring down a 15-pound sledgehammer, and you end up with a coin, a commemorative coin for that monastery. I was like, oh, that's cool. I want one of those for my own.
They do it a lot in Europe, in ancient places. They have coin printers.
Yeah.
That's like just, you know.
Here it's like $300. I like the dollar.
Yeah. Yeah, it's for $1.
All right, we got one more time for one more. Who's gonna walk out of here and regret that they didn't take the opportunity to share and get feedback?
I'll share.
Okay.
So I use the chat GPT route because I don't really have anything that good. This was like really helpful because I'm usually common insurance. People are like boring.
How do I make insurance more exciting?
I like chat GPT, like what I would say, and then I say make it more casual or make it more funny because I sit next to Lindsay. But
with the Coldplay, yeah. You can't top that.
And then I would like make it shorter. So here's what it came up with. I'm not fully sold, but I help families navigate their insurance options, ensuring they have the right coverage for their needs outside of work. I love spending time on the ocean, clamming, boating, enjoying everything that Gloucester has. What's something that you wish you understood better about your insurance?
I love that. And I think that people are gonna be like, well, since you asked, yeah, big deal right now for so many reasons. I love that.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
thanks, ChatGPT.
You know? All right, anyone? I don't want to turn anyone away. Someone was dying to do it.
I'll share.
Okay,
mine.
I knew
But,
I was waiting for you. I was waiting for you.
It's kind of tongue in cheek, so I might
Okay,
rework it.
go ahead.
I did use ChatGPT for this one, but it says I'm Robbie Stokes, and I'm the digital production specialist at Choice Graphics. I specialize in making sure your prints, marketing materials, and banners are of the utmost quality and produced with care. Otherwise, I wouldn't be that much of a specialist, now would I? And then I said, how can I add a bit of flair to your event or business?
That's great. I love it. That's really nice. Good for you. All right. Well, thank you guys all for doing that. Again, these are works in progress. But I think it's good to have a place to start if you didn't already. I like to wrap up my conversations with people at a networking event with an ask. And because I think, you're always, when it's time to kind of go your separate ways to start schmoozing with other people, I like to end with, if you don't already have a realtor that you know, like, and trust, I hope you'll keep me in mind if you are somebody you know is looking to buy or sell a home. And they're usually like, sure, that would be great. Or, or actually my sister's a realtor. And I'm like, well, that's great. It's awesome you have somebody you can rely on. That's okay. But just to come up with an ask, sometimes it's as simple as I'd love to keep in touch, if that's okay. Or I'd love an introduction if you or someone you know could use the services I provide. I left some bullets there because I would love other suggestions of how people other things you might kind of leave a conversation with and ask that you would maybe. Well, you can think on it. If you think of something, you can leave my contact information. But I just think it's a nice way to feel prepared to wrap up a conversation. It is important too.
Well, it kind of cements your purpose.
It cements your purpose.
Yeah, I mean, so you didn't go through the whole exercise for nothing.
No.
You do have a purpose.
And that's,
and if you don't ask, like they say in, the old school, if you don't ask for the sale, you're not gonna get it.
That's exactly right. And also, listen, do I think we want to go and make connections and build relationships? Of course, but let's also be honest, we're building our businesses and we were going to take the time to go to these events. We want them to be effective and useful and a good use of our time. So I think it's important to identify, like, what is your ask and to find a way to incorporate that. And I think for me, it's the easiest time has kind of been at that point where you're like, you've talked to somebody for a while, you're going to go kind of separate ways, but just kind of leave them with that.
Like, how do you go about that? Because it's like you kind of already say, like, we're all trying to sell a service or a item or something, right?
Yeah.
So it's like when you say that you're a real estate, people will automatically call you if they want a house. But like when you're talking to somebody in networking, it's like, you already know, like, they know what you sell. So you know what I mean? Like, how do you?
I'm gonna just stop you right there because part of my spiel with people is that even if you're not buying or selling, you might know somebody who is, or come to learn of somebody who is. The other thing is, and this is where people don't think about realtors, I am your neighborhood expert in resources. We help our clients buy and sell. We help their friends and family buy and sell. We also help them when they need to do a home improvement project. They don't know who the carpenter, they haven't done it in years. They don't know a carpenter. They don't know a plumber. They don't know a landscaper. We provide all those services to our clients in terms of just being an expert. We're a resource. So when I talk to people at networking, I'm covering all that. Hey, if you find you're in need of this, you don't know who to use, give me a call. I'm happy to hook you up.
So that's my question. So you leave it as, if you or somebody else wants any of these services, let me know. I can help you with these services also, and if you have anything that you can offer me or whatever, get their card.
The person I'm talking to is selling their house, probably pretty small, but we all know people who are going to be moving for one reason or another. So it's just creating those relationships so when they come across those people, they can refer you and that you're open to those referrals. And if they've established a nice connection with me, they'll be thrilled to make that connection with their friend or family. Same for you, maybe somebody's shopping for his wife. He doesn't want to go shopping. He wants a ring. You know, if they know what you do, and they might not need it now, but they might need it in 6 months. So I just think it's that ask of, hey, if you ever find that you're in the market for a piece of jewelry or someone you know is looking for it, I'd love to be a resource for you. That's it.
I love the fact how you incorporate something personal as well. I think that, you know, introducing who you are and what you do, and then introducing something personal lightens up the conversation, and it helps make that connection, and it helps builds a little bit more rapport, and lighten up the conversation, and then you follow up with, you know, so anyway, if you happen to need this service later down the road, however to phrase it, then you kind of remind and bring it full circle that way, so that it's just, I think it might be more memorable for somebody for those connections down the road. If you are looking for a piece of jewelry or to buy a piece of property 6 months down the road, or 2 weeks from now, you're talking to a friend of yours and they want to do something with a piece of furniture, they want to remodel it, that person might stay in your mind more from those personal connections that you made, and that helps that referral down the road.
I agree, because you enjoyed your conversation, you learned something, you related on a personal level, absolutely.
I'd actually like to get Wendy's comment on my comment. The connection's first and the referral is second. So when you talk to people, yes, you have information to share with them, you're interested in selling product, whatever. But if you don't connect with them, they're not going to ask you a question. They're not going to give you a referral. You need to make the connections first. I heard Wendy use a phrase, know, like, and trust, which I've heard in other networking groups. It's really important when you're talking to somebody that they get to know, like, and trust you, and then they will think of you for referrals, for questions. Do you agree?
I completely agree. And again, it's that, listen, you know, there's a lot of people out here who do the same things that we do, right? So it's just, you know, if you've made a connection with somebody, you've had a good conversation, and it's like, if you don't already know somebody who you know, like, and trust for this, I hope, you know, you can make an introduction. I would actually also like to say make an introduction as opposed to keep me in mind, because you want to actually ask them to do something. And that is how I think that makes a difference. But I completely agree. Yes, completely agree. All right, our time is about up. So just some takeaways. I think talk a little bit about facing the fears, whatever they are for you. I think networking is definitely not one size fits all. Figure out what works for you and then do it. And that is it. I hope. And when you do these smart things, that's not my slide, which I forgot to say, but reward yourself. These things are hard to do sometimes. You have to reward yourself for the things that you do that feel hard for you. I'm gonna have an ice cream cone later today.
Order a pair of shoes, yeah.
Maybe. All right, we gotta reward ourselves when we do things that feel hard, and I appreciate you guys being here. I would love any feedback that you have. I hope you guys take away and that you're sharing.
Thank you.
This one?
Will we get a list, will there be a list shared of who's attending?
Oh, okay. I mean, like,
Yeah, just name, and if we don't get everybody's card. I'd like to know. You can share me.
And then